for anybody listening to this that is considering like being a content creator, whether like they want to be the subject of it, like influencer type thing, or they want to do like help other people create content. Like, what advice would you have if they're trying to make it a full-time thing? Because now that you are full-time, like you've been through that journey of managing like a full-time job and doing like side hustles, like what advice would you have, or like what's like the biggest thing you could tell somebody?
I would have to say you have to go through the thick of both, because if you haven't tried both all at the same time, you don't experience the same pressures from both at the same time. And that way you really have a better understanding of what are the pros and cons of each. Now that literally have, and this is just my personal take, someone else may have a different opinion, but it's because of what I'm going through right now. Because now that I've recently started content creating, there are days where like, man, I don't want to create this reel, because it's all on me now, you know, because it's a responsibility that I have to do, because I have to put myself in front of the camera, right? It's not a first world problem ever at all, but it's more of just like, is the effort there? And this is what I said earlier too, like the effort has to be there, you know, as opposed to when you get hired to do someone, it is now technically your responsibility and your job now that you've been contracted and signed for to provide for X person, right? Whether now the commitment of being a content creator is yourself. And that's the hardest person to talk to, is yourself. You know, you really have to convince yourself whether or not. But if someone is going through that problem now, you have to experience both and make a decision before it gets too late, right? Otherwise you are, and it's sometimes, for me, it feels like I crumble sometimes with the weight of it all, you know? And because as fast as my turnarounds are, sometimes my brain doesn't go that fast too as well. I have my days where just, you know, it just like shuts down, or just like I'm sitting on the couch just looking out the window, just like, what the hell am I doing? You know, and that's it's not the scariest position, but it's a very like it's that time spent worrying could be spent making videos, but your brain is just so like not in this on mode where it can't, you know, and that's okay, but it's a problem that one has to recognize first. And that's what I would say, because, you know, like with you being like in front of the camera now, being yourself, like a creative in front of the camera, not for anybody else, you know, you've discovered that now, that you wanted to do and provide value information and fun content, that you're in front of the camera because you can and you love it, right? And where someone else, they're okay with being behind the camera because they would rather curate something for someone else that looks great and they are happy with.
That's a good point. It's like two elements, I think. There's like how, like where can you provide the most value to the world? Like, is it by just being the guy that knocks out videos crazy fast and like is it shooting for other people, or is it being in front of the camera, providing your own like ideas and thoughts to the camera? And you can do both of those, obviously. But and like just, and obviously, what is more fun to you? Like, what do you enjoy doing more? Do you prefer like do you like the pressure of being in front of the camera and having to like be the personality, or would you have more fun like on the back end, like creativity side? Like, there's so many elements to content. That's crazy, dude. There's so much to talk about with this stuff.
No, it is. And there's another thing that I probably would want to bring up is like, you just have to also let go of certain attachments too as well. You know, because I think you yourself have worked with enough brands and like businesses to like understand this, and you are a business yourself too as well, right? Like whether it's Jeremy Miller or Switchback, that there are certain attachments that you have to let go, which I've understood now too as well. Whether you're in front of the camera or behind the camera, because at the end of the day, some things are just business. If you're creating something for yourself, it's you know, it's free law. Just do whatever you want, right? Because it's for yourself, whatever you're creating. But whenever you're creating for a brand, business, or just like you have to create a certain video and there are revisions needed, you have to accept that fact, unfortunately. You know, it's people I think we have an attachment to things, and sometimes as a creative there's a big attachment. Well, why not just keep this, or why do I have to do that? It's because that's not under your jurisdiction, right? It's for them, and it's for what works for them. So although one may not see it that way, and you're like, no, I know more social media than you, or we're like, you know, I like, no, this is gonna work, but it's what they want, you know, and you just have to let go of that attachment. Like I've had videos where I've had to re-edit, or like, why are you taking this out? Like, why? You know, why is it got to be 30 seconds? Let's just roll it out for 2 minutes, you know? So I'm not calling a certain brand out. I'm kidding. No, but you understand it, right? Because you are a business owner of Switchback, right? And that's the exact same presence of just like, if you are creating something for whoever, you have to let go of that attachment at the end of the day, because it's not personal. It's just at the, cliche of all terms, it's just business. Yes, but it's because it is in the business realm. If you're doing something for yourself, if you're creating a recap reel or a reel of this marathon that no brand affiliation at all, do whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. That's probably one of the hardest parts of doing content for other people or a brand is like, we were talking about this the other day of like, say you're shooting a running video and you guys hike to the top of a mountain to get this like epic shot, but then the brand's like, nah, that shot doesn't really fit in. And you're like, we spent like 4 hours getting that shot. It's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't play into the video the way that the brand needs or whoever. It's hard. And a lot of it depends on the goal of the video. Is it like to just get views? Is it to sell products? Is it to get followers, like make an emotion, whatever it is. Like there's so many different purposes to content, and each video is so unique in that too. But not being attached is it's hard to do.
It is. And I think you just have to rewind yourself to the mindset, because like anytime I feel that like attachment issue growing in my head, or that personal of just like, and it's never attack on like they're attacking you. It's just you've created this personal mental attack for yourself. It's not something that they're saying. It's just something you've all somewhat developed in your brain. And you just have to rewind yourself, I think, when that happens, to the point of like, wait, okay, what was the original goal again? It's I accepted this job from this person. And at the end of the day, it's for them. So whatever, they're technically at that moment your boss, for this whatever. And you have to accept that fact and not get personal with it. I think a lot of times people think about that, about like, and this is a very obviously separate niche of raw files and raw videos, raw photos. I feel like that's also just like a personal attachment that some people need to let go, because it's just business. Who cares what they do at the end of the day? What you created for them stands out the most.
That's so true. Yep. Yeah, people get really attached to the raw files. Why is that? Is it because like they're afraid? Okay, for people that like aren't in the media world. We shoot at the track. You shoot 100 photos. Those are unedited off the camera. Those are the raw files. You then have to take them to your computer, whatever, edit them, and usually that's what you deliver. But some people are so weird about giving like the original raw. Why is that? Is it because they're afraid of like somebody else putting their own edit on the photos or something? Like,
I think it's more just very personal attachment to it, which you have to let go, because like when you think about that exact problem that you're thinking of right now, right, or that portrayal that you had, like where is it gonna go? Either you sell it to them, or it's gonna stay in your hard drive for like 3 years and not be used, and you just wasted an opportunity to add an extra invoice on top of it. That's what I do as well. Like I will attach an add-on on my invoice. Hey, if you want the raw video files, raw photos, it just costs this much, because I know what they're going to utilize for. A brand or company is going to utilize those raw files to either put a basic or hire an editor to do a basic color edit on it or whatever, and use it for marketing purposes. And what that does is now they have assets that they can promote for how long, for however perpetuity that they have, or license usage, and they're gonna probably get some sales back from all that, from video raw files or photos. And that's okay. You just have to sell appropriately if you know that's gonna happen. I think people get attached of like, oh, it's my edit, it's my photo, it's my art, and I'm like, okay, cool, that's great. If you don't want to sell your raws, that's fine. It's not. I'm not calling out anybody at all. But I think that nobody should be yes or no. It's just a business decision that you make upon yourself. Like, I don't sell my raws. That's fine. That's your business decision. I sell my raws at this rate though, that's your business decision. I don't think there's a yes or no answer to that. I think it's just, how do you want to run what you do,
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
When you were still kind of 50-50, like coaching, had a job and doing freelance, did you like change anything? Like, was there like a turning point where you're like, okay, I think I can do freelance full time and like just work for myself?
Yeah. I would say the turning point as in like,
was there like the day you decided to quit your job, or like, okay, I don't need a coach anymore?
Yeah. I think the turning point was where I needed to free up a lot of my time in order to do the editing time that I needed, and also there's a part with any person, like whatever they do, it starts to fade, of like what you originally started with. And that's normal. We go through different phases of life. One day you're a coach, and one day you do creative business, and then another route, just like, you know, you, whatever path that you're on, it's going to change. This life is so long yet so short that you can pick and change your mindset depending on where your passions lie. You know, I think that's super important that people need to remember that too as well. I think when it came to a point and where I wanted to be able to provide the assets faster or be able to invest more time in it, that's where I decided, like, okay, I need to let this go. Because there's actually this one point too where I remember when this was probably like years ago, like some member at the gym, in my gym in California, said to me, like, whichever is being the most lucrative right now in your moment, you should take advantage of that, because you don't know how long that's going to last, you know? And as much as my original goal before was to be like a Nike trainer. Like I wanted that title of like being in the fitness world as a Nike trainer, and worked my way up to that when I first started coaching. And I realized that ended up not being the goal that I wanted anymore. I wanted to be able to create cool projects, maybe for Nike potentially, you know, a video for Nike, or just being able to provide value to any business or brand, you know, for what I'm able to create.
Yeah.
And I think that was the biggest turning point of the, like, one, it was getting a little bit more lucrative, but that's because I was gaining more work. And what does that do? It's an exchange of time. I have to exchange time somewhere. And that just happened to be the coaching, which is totally fine. I think I was at a point where, like, you know, this gym can hire any coach and perform the same. It doesn't matter if it's me or not. It's still going to perform the same with a new coach, because they're going to be just as good. If I don't take care of myself and actually invest time into my own business, that's an entity of me now, then who knows when I'm going to get the next chance to do it. You know, it's the same decision of just like me wanting to move to a different city. This was the exact same thought process of just like, okay, I think it's time. You know?
That's cool. I think it's inspiring for a lot of people, and myself too, because it's hard to make that decision. But I think a lot of times people get in this like catch-22 almost, where they're like, you have like all this work and opportunity for freelance, but like your job is kind of holding you back. But it's like, you have the security of a job, the unpredictability of this freelance work, but it's like, if you could just get more time to like edit or shoot, then you'd be able to make it work. But it's like, there's always like this weird period, I feel like, where you got to just like commit to it. And there might be like a month or 2 months, whatever, where it's weird for a bit, and maybe you're like struggling to make ends meet or something. But I think it's almost always like 99% of the time the right choice to just invest in yourself.